That's really cool.
Never fear, I is here. So I actually won't be dark on Friday. We're kind of stoked. We've got Vampire going on. So I don't know if you guys will have a rerun or whatnot, but if you can't watch the rerun, please tune in to us. We'll be around for Vampire the Masquerade, and then on Saturday is our superhero game with Marvel superheroes. Vampire starts at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Superhero starts at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturday. So that's all I got going on. Uh-oh.
I'm Justice Burris, and my wife is, and I'll let her.
I'm Miranda.
Um,
and yeah, we are World of Cord.
Which is a blog we started
Go ahead.
about our family D&D game. We started it over the pandemic with the purpose of using it as a type of therapeutic and educational tool for my daughter to really grow her own self. And we blog about our sessions with our family and the lessons we learned through it.
It's not so much to the lessons we learned through it, but it's her progress through it. So it was about October of 2020 when we started playing with her. She does have anxiety issues, and she was having confidence issues. She was in the virtual school that year, and there was just yeah, it was rough. I myself am immunocompromised. Our son is high risk, and so we were living in a bubble. I did not leave the house. My children did not leave the house for like a year and a half. So we started playing with our daughter, and we saw Game to Grow actually did some panels with PAX online that we watched. Was that what it was?
Yeah, it was PAX Online.
So yes,
they did,
and we were like,
COVID
this
year.
would be great for Cordelia. It clicked, like this would be great for our daughter. And so Justice is the DM. He is the master DM. I'm just the one that types everything up.
But even though I'm the DM,
it has helped her so much.
Even though I'm the DM, the whole world and everything is created collaboratively with the kids. So what happened was with Game to Grow, we saw this panel on creating a world, like collaboratively in a session. And my daughter was writing, she loves writing her stories and stuff. So it's like, let's make a world and play in it. And so we did the Game to Grow process of collaborative world building, and then it has just since grown. And we can get more into that later, but yeah, that's everything. Yes.
Core, it's the name of the world. So We even came up with that collaboratively. We added it one letter at a time, and when our daughter started realizing, oh, you're just making it my name, she stopped it, and that's how that came to be. Like,
Yeah.
and here is, I can even show you Cordelia. Cord. And this is the map that we created. This is the world. This is Cord right here. And so she had just learned in school about Egypt. So this whole desert area, this was her creation. Like, this was her thing right here. I added the volcano, like different things we took turns adding. And all of the names,
Nice.
there are some very silly names. They were all added one at a time as well. But this is Cord, and all based on our daughter there. Oh, by the way, this is Jester. She has to be out right now, otherwise she'll be screaming from her cage and wake the kids up. Gotta have Jester. She's a rogue / dragon. So she wants to get to the camera so she can chew on it. She wants to chew on the camera. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
There's just so many cool things to talk about.
Well, I've played longer.
We both had.
Yeah, we have a friend group that we've gotten together, and the kids have been part of that like friend group since like we alternated houses, but like really I've been
rolling dice since they could sit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it took forever to get my Miranda to play. But
it took him forever to get me to try playing. It wasn't until we had moved in together, we were engaged, and he started a group with one of our roommates, and I was like, okay, I'll try it, but I get a dragon. He said deal, and that's how I started playing. And I was hooked.
Oh, I don't mean to interrupt. Looks like someone in the chat said they can't hear Hayley.
Oh, no.
I mean, I can hear you just fine.
I'm sorry. They can still hear you. So
okay, can we hear now? Yep. I think they can hear us now. For some reason, my system continually, every time I start up a new screen, it's claiming it can't find our audio device. So I have to manually go and point it at our mics here. So
hopefully it's fixed.
Yeah, well, I can see now the audio coming in. So Home Devote, let us know. And anyone, we got a yes right there that they can hear us.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Well,
thank you for letting us know.
Hopefully for the last 10 minutes, we have a recording that has sound of me talking.
It could be worse. Like I said, you could wind up in a situation like I did. I went like almost a full hour at one point where they could hear my players, but not me.
Oh yeah, so I remember you telling us about that.
So I had like half a game where it's like you just didn't hear me. You heard them laughing, them reacting, or rolling dice. You just see my mouth move.
That's funny.
You're like, yeah, nope.
It's just a wash at that point.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So
for us, it's actually a little similar, but I had played like twice when I was younger. I had played a little bit of D&D with a person I was living with at the time, and he had played a little bit. And I was like, okay, this is cool. But then after that, never had a chance again. Never really took a chance to go get the stuff. And then we were on lockdown. And our kids all have ADHD. And the more screen time they get, the worse they get.
So there's four of us in this house.
They just get more crazy. And so I was like, you know what? No, TV is off. All the screens are off. We're going to do something else. And so I went and got a free... I had been listening to Critical Role as a podcast.
I swear half of the online community, over half of the online community played just because of Critical Role.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I was like, you know what? We're going to do something. I only had D6s. And I went and downloaded, got on D&D Beyond, free account. You get your free little starter thing you can do. Our son created Michael the Master of Magic. Our other son created Hulk the Strong. And I just started, okay, so you come against this thing. Roll your dice. And we had D6s is all we had.
They were 8 and 4 at the time, respectively. Yep. So.
But we just started rolling dice.
We started when my daughter was... How old was Cordelia with My Little Pony? Was she 7 or 8?
Yeah, Cordelia was... Yeah, we originally did... That was before the pandemic. That was before the pandemic hit. We did the My Little Pony RPG first to kind of work on teamwork and cooperation, because I think she was like 5 and Victor was like 3. And she was starting to be a little bossy because she's like, I'm the big kid.
Oh, yeah.
What?
But
then bossy? Never.
When the pandemic hit and we saw this... I know, right? But when the pandemic hit and we saw this thing, we started actually taking courses with Game to Grow to help them better. Justice and I, we both... you've done 2 educator levels.
I am finished the education
point,
track.
right?
Oh, wow. So, like, this is like a whole thing
and then
I've
I've done one of the education, and I've done... Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've done 2 of the therapy courses at this point as well. So I've done 2 therapy. I had to go through 1 more therapy level, but I actually would like to go back to school for a major in psychology before doing so. My first degree was in music therapy.
Oh my God.
They have a therapeutic game
board certified music therapist for 10 years.
Yes.
Now I'm a teacher.
That is amazing. Okay, first off, I got my degree in vocal performance. So music is like a thing.
I'm music ed.
See, look at you met in the music building and
yeah, he's music ed. I went back to school to get my teacher certification, and now I teach children in K through 6 how to play the violin.
Oh, that's
that's
thing
cool.
to do.
It's so cute.
That I don't think I could handle doing that. Teaching children, I'm not a teacher though. Like, I tried to teach voice lessons after I graduated from college. That did not go over well at all. I'm just how do I sing like you? I don't know. Open your mouth and sound like me. There you go. Anyway, so this therapy thing, you guys started, you heard the presentation, the panel on this. You guys got super into it, built this world. You've obviously like done the courses and the therapy work. What do you feel like is the difference between playing for fun and just to play and playing with a focus of working through something as like a type of therapy?
It's a lot. I'm taking it from the like educational type therapy. It's a lot like creating a lesson plan with it. Like when I'm sitting developing in the session, I'm thinking, okay, how can this help? Like to spur on because one thing, I'll use an example. I created this dungeon with this fairy dragon. Okay. And a lot of
that was a great one.
Stuff like the fairy dragon was just playing tricks on all the players.
Okay.
And you didn't have to fight it. You could have the party decided to make friends with the fairy dragon. Mm-hmm. The party, in fact, the fairy dragon is now part of the party. He rides on top of one of the players' heads because
oh my god.
It's how can we make decision making more open and problem solving things. Mm-hmm. So like in a regular game, you can just throw out a puzzle to your players and they can take hours to solve like the simplest of puzzles.
And you're sitting there as a GM like, just push on the door.
But in the Game to Grow, and I love their program and I love everything they do with that. It's so great. But they did some stuff like you're in a room that the ceiling's closing. There's a lever in the center. What do you do? And like it's working with the party, like come up with problem solving. There's not just one way to do it. So like they give an example, like we freeze it, or we build things to stop it. We help each other to pull it. So it's giving the players the options, talking with them. Like it's not just like, okay, here's a puzzle, go.
And there's only one way to solve it. Good luck solving it, kind of thing. That I really like that, because I think that that's one of
well, that's the thing. Like with this is.
Oh wait, Miranda and I are talking at the same time.
Yeah, I was gonna say there doesn't have to be just one way to solve it. Is the thing. So if you're working on like collaboration, if that's one of the goals that you're working on, like if you're working with a group of kids and you want them to be able to communicate and work on collaboration, well then it doesn't matter how they solve it, as long as they are solving it together as a cohesive unit. That's what solves the puzzle. Like, so it's taking, you know, the elements of the game and using it to create targeted goals that they can accomplish.
Yeah. So do you guys, when you plan a session, do you sit down and think, okay, like Cordelia has this that we're working on right now, let's set up a scenario for this? Or have you gotten to a place where you're kind of like, okay, we can just kind of wing it and figure it out as we go?
It's a mix, I feel like, for me.
It depends
planning.
on how she's doing.
Like
when we first started, definitely. When we first started, confidence was a big thing, and we wanted her to speak out. Her character is Serena. She's a golden dragonborn paladin. She is the leader of our group. We are Serena and the Crystal Gems.
Oh my gosh.
We have a band and everything.
Well, I was going to say, it sounds kind of like Gem and the holograms at that point. And I'm going to get my 80s jam on for here in a second.
We had a whole battle of the bands arc. It was great. But he put in a lot of scenarios where she needed to stand up and make decisions or be the leader. You know, I first started with a character. I tried at first to kind of copy her. So my character at first was very shy and timid and quiet. And I realized that wasn't really working. So I changed my character to be very angry and short temper and this is not how you're supposed to handle a situation. And so he would throw the NPCs back. They're not going to talk to me anymore. And I'd be like, Serena, you do it. So then she would have to go and handle the situation. And, you know, and so it kind of put her in those roles.
It also helps, I think, like I've done this with the kids groups too. Like I have another kids group that I work with, but with this family game, it helps that we also have players who are jumping in to also assist with the whole like therapy aspect, creating this culture where she can feel comfortable. Like one of my best friends who we've been playing D&D together for like the longest time, or other game systems. He's a godfather of our son. Like it's a long thing with us.
Like we're family.
We went to elementary school together. It is.
No, we are family. Everyone that plays in this game is family. When we first mentioned it to, I was just offhand mentioning to my brothers, and they were, we want to play. And first of all, I was like, wait, since when do you play? Because I've been playing this for like 12 years now. What? And they're like, we started listening to podcasts and we play now. And I was like, great.
Like,
so they got involved too. And we told them that it was to help Cordelia. They were like, they're so on board for it. And so everyone, all the adults at the table know that this was formed to help her. And so they all will throw things to her and wait for her to do things. Like it's a group effort to get her to come over this anxiety. It's helped so much. Like when we first started playing, she would make a mistake and she would totally shut down. Like,
that sounds very
one of us would
similar.
have to take her out of the room, go to another room, and we have to calm her down and talk to her and, kind of help her through it. And then over time, she started not letting the mistakes phase her so much.
Well, because she sees.
And then when she
Goblins.
She sees how we handle it.
She sees Goblins are
doesn't.
my friend's character, who's just, he made the most ridiculous character just to like show that you can have this ridiculous character who, if you run into an ooze, he's gonna try to eat it as his first action.
But yeah, no, he's got tankards of the different oozes and things that we fought that he'll occasionally sip out of.
So
It's
basically,
my daughter.
Sokka.
My daughter
Yeah.
loves him, and she's like, "Stop! Don't do that."
Favorite character. And he'll make all the bad decisions so that she can come in and make the good ones. But
That's
we started
really
noticing
cool.
when she did eventually go back to school. She didn't go back to school till 3rd grade. That when she was in school, when she started making mistakes, she didn't shut down anymore, because she had done that in first grade. She would shut down. But all of a sudden, now she's in 3rd grade, and she can center herself and she can recover for her mistakes.
That's awesome.
She can take the time and she can collect her thoughts now, and that's just from us working with her. We couldn't. The world was shut down. We couldn't get her in counseling or in therapy. This was it. So it really does help. You just have to have those targeted goals in mind and work towards it and be patient.
Yeah.
Because it's not always going to happen. She'll still have days. She's in 4th grade now. She's turning 9 next week. But she'll still have some sessions where she's not having it. She's just having a day, and she can't do, and so we'll kind of find a way to work around, and so that she can still be part of it.
Yeah, well, and part of, I feel like, growing up and learning and maturing is understanding that you're going to have days where everything's just off. And you don't know why, and it's just off. And so you need to just deal with it. And that's a really good thing, is like you can still play and move through it. And it's like, look, it's okay for you to have an off day. We're still going to play and we're still going to have fun. And that is, I really like that. We started playing, Weston didn't get totally to the end of that story. I think we got stopped because of the microphone issue.
Yes.
But so Weston starts playing with our little boys, and we found that it really helped Michael, our oldest, who has autism. And he's high functioning and normally does okay, but he was really having trouble. He's always had trouble with social cues and social situations, and he always seems to be very attracted to toxic people for him. And working through some of that stuff with him, working on like taking turns, or like the making a mistake thing. Like he would make a choice in combat and it would end up not being a good choice to have made, and he would berate himself. And he would get really frustrated. And he started asking us, can we practice playing combat? Can I practice playing Pathfinder? Because we play Pathfinder. It's just like, you don't practice, you play, and that is practice. But you don't practice playing. But we've seen that kind of stuff.
And that's one of the things. They have to learn that, how to... Because you don't want to use the term consequences, but I mean, everything you do, whether
Cause
positive or
and effect.
negative, it's going to have a consequence in the game. You cut that out. She can't make up her mind whether she wants to be held or pet.
Both, Mom, now.
So it's like, how is this going to affect the story around us? So
yeah. Well,
they learn, okay, so that didn't work the last time I did it. What can I do differently this time? And you kind of make sure to word it in there too, to where it's not like you're spoon feeding them. But it's like, you tried this before, and this happened. What else might we try this time?
Yeah. And
it is actually, it's great for teaching social cues and empathy.
That is one thing that we've been working with all of our boys on. And I think it's interesting when you have boys and not girls, because boys are so rough and tumble and like take it on the jaw that, and especially our boys.
We have 3 little boys. They fight all the time.
It's World War III in our house.
All the time.
Most days.
He looked at me in a way I didn't like.
We just got the one.
Today was, he's looking at me while I'm playing my game. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, so we have, our son is 6. He's like that. He always wants to sword fight. And he plays sometimes. Like, he gets to choose when he plays. We've learned, like, we can't force him.
Yeah.
But
we let him come in and out.
He loves combat, though. And he loves creating characters.
That's fun.
Like,
and their moves.
Yeah. He, like, okay,
we let him do whatever. I'm going to do super power punch. I'm going to eat them and spit them back out. I'm going to... whatever.
Wow.
That sounds like our 5-year-old.
You got it, man.
Our 5-year-old showed his
He's 6,
awesome ninja moves to us today at dinner. He wanted to show us his awesome ninja moves and how he would just punch their face off if a bad guy came to get him. I was like, okay, I don't know where this came from.
But hey, cool. Well, and that's where we started playing a lot more because of how it did help Michael with role-playing social cues. And, how do I handle this? Okay. Oh, do you immediately attack or do you talk to them? Okay, Michael, how would you talk to them? How would you convince them? Because a lot of times he says, well, do it the way I want you to do it, especially to his brothers. I'm like, well, convince them. And so making him role play things like that where he has to try and talk his way and reason with people was a big thing. And then after we did that for a tiny bit, then Hayley realized, I really like this.
I now try to talk my way out of most situations.
And now we have our our Friday night. Now we have our Friday night show where it's a duet campaign.
Yeah, it's just the 2 of us, and I hadn't played at all before that, and I had always been a little bit interested, but I was too cool.
She
to
was
play. So freaking lame. But now we play all the time. But yeah.
See, I was the other way. That's why it took me so long to play, was because I was a nerd growing up and I was bullied, and there was that stigma around playing. And so when he kept trying to get me to play, in my head I'm like, I have been bullied enough. I don't need any more of this.
Yeah, well,
he was very persistent.
It definitely is something I feel like in the zeitgeist of America, of the United States, is this idea that like only like a very specific type of person plays D&D. And we all kind of know what that is. Like, it's a bunch of nerdy guys with big old glasses. And if you're younger, it's like they're wearing braces and they're just like, no, in the basement with the nerdy lights. Yep. Like, it's just a no. So I guess.
Because that's literally what it was. That is literally what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
No joke. I was around.
But now, like, thanks to like
space.
podcasts and streaming and things like Critical Role and Dimension 20, things like that. These other people are getting into playing. Like when my brother said they play, I'm like, you two are like the coolest people I know on the planet. I still don't know how we're related, because they are like cool personified. And they play, and I'm like, I don't feel okay. Cool.
And that's another great thing. Like talking therapy and with RPGs and stuff, is that it provides that new social outlet. Like for my daughter, for example. We've been playing, we've had this family game, and at this time school was back, she was back there, and I was going through the training. I'm like, I want to start a kid game. I want to start a game for kids, focus with kids and education. It's like, I'm going to do this. And it's just like, I have to find time. And then it just so happened, so we had a new comic book store open up. I went and talked to the guy. I'm like, listen, I want to start a kids game. He's like, that's awesome. Yes. Like, if you hear anybody, let's start working this out. The next week, like, he's like, okay, I got these 2 families. It's like, awesome. So we meet up, and the dad and a son, and a mom and a son. And so we play. And then it just so happens that my daughter was at recess, and they played Dungeons and Dragons at recess, just like making up characters and running around with this other girl. And I get a text from one of the dads. Hey, is your daughter's name Cordelia? I'm like, yeah. It's like, my daughter is Aubrey, and they play together. She was telling me how Cordelia plays Dungeons and Dragons. And so then it came, like, this dad brings her daughter now, I bring Cordelia, and so that was the party. Like,
and this is even better than he's saying. So this is even better because when she started 3rd grade, she had been in virtual school that year. No one else had been in virtual school. Everyone else went back like the world was fine. And so she didn't have any friends when she went to 3rd grade. Well, this other little girl was also having trouble making friends. And they were in the same class. And they just kind of found each other. And much to their teacher's relief, much to my relief, and to her parents' relief as well, because neither of them, they weren't making friends, and they found each other, and they have been inseparable. And so when this started happening too, like, oh my gosh, it was like meant to be, I swear.
That's
perfect.
awesome.
It was, my heart was so happy.
Someone like that for our oldest child.
So it creates, like, role-playing games, how back when, the nerdy kids in the basements and playing, but that's how our friend group, like, we grew socially without realizing we were kind of growing socially. Through that, we found each other. And so RPGs can take that element of social growth, like, and not just that, but having the kids grow, and this is just me spouting the, but having the kids grow themselves and develop that friendship through playing. And, like, taking on these different roles through the games and seeing how each person does it. And meeting people they wouldn't meet. And becoming friends with people that they wouldn't meet.
Yeah. Well, and I love the idea that you said that you started with confidence with her and to help her with that social interaction, and then she's like now at school and like leading another child in how to play D&D and how to create characters and stuff. Like that is such a huge testament to how much the game has helped. We don't have that yet. Our son is still
it's been mind-blowing.
Our son is still to video games.
and I mean, just
it's been so great.
Another thing that we've done with our daughter, with our son, and with this other kid group is letting the kids have a turn to DM.
Yeah, I saw that on your most recent blog post that you were talking about Vincent? Victor, there we go. I'm like, that didn't sound right.
The end of the V.
It was a V word.
The V one.
That was...
He was GMing.
That boy is born to DM. He's a natural born GM. Like, so he likes to have that kind of control, but that he likes to have that freedom of creativity. And he was making monsters up right on the spot, and some of these things were eldritch horrors. Oh my god, the things that were coming out of this child's imagination were terrifying. Like, some of the other adults at the table were like, what?
You're like, what do you watch?
That sounds like our oldest.
What's happening?
That sounds like our oldest.
Where did this come from? I didn't know this was in you. But then he started doing character voices too, and I was like,
that's awesome.
But our daughter has DM'd twice now. The first time she did it, Justice helped her a lot, and he kind of walked her through it, and when she was too shy to say something, he would say it for her. She wouldn't really speak as we fought a dragon. She wouldn't really speak as it, so she had Dad do it for her. But she had zero issues just straight up murdering her father's character. Just no qualms there.
Like,
just
sorry, you're dead.
Killed it. Like dead. Like, you're down, you're on death saving throws. This dragon doesn't like you, it's gonna hit you again. Like,
Wow.
yeah. But when she DM'd the second time, which was about a year later, I'm behind on the blog. Life has gotten in the way.
No, it's
But
totally fine.
the second time, and I can't wait to type this up, she did it all by herself. She created the dungeon by herself. She made the monsters by herself. The treasure, everything. She did the entire thing. We had no idea what to expect.
That is awesome.
And this time Justice survived. So.
And
good job. Way to be.
she loves creating creatures. Like, she has notebooks. And it gives her another outlet to get those creatures, like, in and write.
She made the everlasting snowflake reindeer, which she had thrown into this one.
Well, it's like
she has drawings. Like, she's got a notebook of creatures that she has created for the world. Like, love it.
That's awesome.
I know for our oldest, he's GM'd with me a couple of times, and at that time he was obsessed with haunted houses. So it was a haunted house scenario, and it's funny because with him we don't have to worry about him being boisterous. We don't have to worry about his confidence at all. We have to worry about a little restraint.
Down, like. You don't need to monologue every single time you hit it. Like, it's okay to just hit it and say, I hit it.
Well, and then it was always fun because we did the haunted house one, and I could tell he made everything up on the spot. He had a simplified Dungeon Masters. He used like the starter kit one, which had some monsters in there, and so he'd use those and kind of base things off of those. But the funny thing is that I saw a little bit creeping in of what you see when little boys play pretend. Mm-hmm. I have a sword. Well, I have the bigger sword. So like I would do the thing, and then suddenly there'd be, oh, but wait, here's a bigger one, and
or like, and suddenly you see 2 more goblins, and we're like, no, you said that this was the end. Like, he would just keep pushing more things out. He
needs to run a meat grinder.
Yes.
Because that's what he's like, I gotta kill you.
When y'all just play with the kid, like, had your sons like, well, I can't be hit right now. Like, yes. I have the shield.
When they do that with they play pretend with each other, yes.
Yeah.
Well, but when we play the game, our 6-year-old Michael has kind of learned the idea that like there are rules, there are boundaries, there's certain things you can and cannot do. Our 6-year-old, however, Gabriel, he very much is, I run into the room and I chop off their heads. And it's like, okay, well, we need to see whether or not you actually hit them. So just a second. And like we have to kind of, we're still teaching him the idea that this isn't full form, whatever you want kind of thing. But we are kind of like rule followers with the games though. So we probably are not as flexible as we most likely should be.
So that's the cool thing with the role-playing, like using a therapy education, is that you can do that. If you see like I know, and this is this with, I like rules. I like my rules in boxes, blocks. Like, I will learn those rules. I will follow those rules.
I will read that Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yeah. And, like, it even goes as far as, like, when I play miniature, like, competitively, like, I've done different games competitively, I will learn the rules so much that I will learn how to bend the rules for my favor.
Yes.
Okay.
But I will learn, like, but some kids aren't like that. Like, so if you need to teach them, like, rules, you have your role-playing games, like, okay, we're going to follow these rules, we're not doing this. But then if you're trying to teach someone to be more open with everything, it's the yes and.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you do that, and what else? Come up with something else. Like, like,
well, it's like one thing I've definitely learned, and we had the discussion our last show, think it was just our last show, was the playing with kids.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the advice for playing with kids. And one thing I'll definitely say with that is, like with that, our 6-year-old, he's like, okay, I run in, I chop their heads off. Okay, you run in, but you can only get this far. What do you do? And then you just, I don't tell him no. I don't tell him you can't. I say, here's what you can do. You did that. Next person.
Yeah.
Because the moment you say no, you do shut down a little bit.
Yeah.
Weston's better at this.
Yeah.
At this aspect of GMing than I am.
I didn't used to be.
in a lot of ways when playing with our kids, because I have a difficult time sometimes with our children, and so Weston is better. Anyway,
I've also, I think I've GM'd a lot more sessions than you have.
You have GM'd a lot more sessions, but with adults, it's much easier for me to do that because I know they're not going to like go do something insane. But with our children, I'm like, oh my gosh, are we about to have Unikitty jump out? Like, could we not just?
Well, it's like Gabriel. He's a fighter. We're doing the
Justice has become more flexible with Victor.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like he has an imagination to like
Justice
rule them
did
all.
have to learn how to. He does. He had to, when he does play, he did have to learn to let things be a little bit more loosey-goosey because he was younger.
Mhm.
And it's like there's only certain rules that you're going to grasp at that age. You know what you want to do. Okay, let's figure out how we can make that happen for you where we're not going to break the game.
Yeah.
Well,
you
and
We want to encourage that.
Well, and a great thing that you bring up, most of what the therapy has to do with the role playing and the way that you engage with the imaginary world, which means you can take this out to any system you want. Let's say we had TTRPG Kids on last week, which gave us, they've got a huge list of games that are easier, that are maybe less rules, that maybe work better for younger kids. All of these same principles would apply to all of those.
I recommend that blog to everybody. Anyone's like playing with kids, I'm like, go check out Tabletop RPG Kids. Like, just go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TTRPG Kids she is amazing. She has curated such an incredible list of things that you can do with children. She's constantly reviewing things and going through stuff. Like, she is an invaluable resource for nerdy parents who want to figure out how to get their kids into the same hobbies that they like.
And as far as the therapy aspect, Game to Grow just released, like, we just got the box earlier, their version of 5th edition called Critical Core.
Ooh.
It is D&D, but it is built upon their pillars. So in case any listeners, Game to Grow is a nonprofit that started up in Seattle with a theater therapist and
Drama therapist.
Thank you.
Drama therapist. Thank you. Welcome.
That's Adam. Dr. Kilmer.
Adam Davis.
Yep.
Mhm.
She is a clinical psychologist and education, and another founder, Adam Jones, who's a licensed counselor. But they built this nonprofit to do just what they taught, and then they got together and it's like, okay, they built their cores, their philosophy, and they came out with Critical Core, which is a box that has all their pillars. It has like characters, like how to do everything. It teaches people how to use therapy for different things in a box.
And so they have like,
yeah.
So we're thinking of like the core capacities and what those are when we're trying to apply educationally or therapeutically. So the first thing is regulation, which is being able to manage excitement and stress, or your pleasant and your unpleasant emotions, how to properly respond to being frustrated, things like that, delayed gratification, all of that is regulation. Then there is collaboration, which is being able to work together towards a common goal. And they're very, very clear about this is not a compromise. We're not trying to compromise. We want you to be able to interact with each other, with your peers, with leaders, and collaborate together. Then the next one is planning. And this has a lot to do with, coming up with a sequence of events, cause and effect, but not getting stuck so much in the cause and effect. Like, you know, those players, which is, I think, most people at one point in their life where, okay, there's a button right there, but then you're going to overthink that button for like 3 hours because you don't know what's going to happen. So don't like dwell on that.
Well, it's
being able to, you know, kind of work together to make plans and not to get derailed when the plan goes sideways, you know?
Which is always.
I need my players to listen to this part.
Well, it's really interesting because with how me and Hayley play with just a one-on-one, it's interesting because when I give her the buttons like that, she has no one else to talk to. She has no one else to have that 3-hour discussion. Nope. Do we push the button? It's like, hey, do you push the button? And
I just like, my character is super impulsive. She's 19, so she's like, I'm gonna push the button. Let's see what happens. It's
she's
really...
basically the character from Tiny Toons.
No.
Push the button. Water go down the hole. I push the button again and again and again and again and again and again.
But it's very interesting because you have this, and so you can get, depending on the size of group, you can also influence this. You know, but if you do a one-on-one, then it's like, okay, decision making. Okay, you have to make the decision here. Put that you do put a little bit of pressure there versus when if you're doing with a party, then it's like, okay, let's work on collaborating. You all have to agree. This would be interesting as our boys get older because they do a lot of competing. Our boys do a ton of competing, which is funny because neither me nor Hayley are that competitive.
We're not competitive, really.
But our boys are very competitive, and so we have to very much focus on collaboration.
Siblings.
Yes.
Our middle one.
So then the next one. Yeah.
Anyway, the next one.
They do that when they get older. The next one is perspective, which is being able to identify, consider, and respond to others' views. And that's a lot where like empathy comes in. It's about being able to read social cues. Okay, well, how does the character's face look? And, and then adjusting your behavior based on how others are there. Things like that. This is I'm really condensing here. And then the last one is pretend play.
Yeah.
Which is something that doesn't stop when you enter adulthood.
What?
Humans learn best through play.
Mm-hmm.
I know, right? Humans learn best through play. And that's when I first started the Twitter and everything, I was like, hey, adults, you're allowed to play too. You need to play too. You have to escape, the stressors of work and everything. You have to play because we learn best through play. We are always adapting and learning through play. That's, little kids. The first thing they learn is through play. So, you test things out and they fail. It's all play. And so then you take these blocks, which are regulation, collaboration, planning, perspective, and pretend play. And then you kind of take those and build block towers based on what it is that you're trying to work on. So like if you're working on social anxiety, you're going to do regulation, planning, and pretend play. If you want to work on conflict resolution, it's going to be regulation, perspective, and collaboration. Leadership would be perspective, regulation, and collaboration. Like, just, and taking these core capacities that they have and then combining them to work on whatever skill that it is that you're trying to work on with whoever. Empathy would be regulation, pretend play, perspective, and collaboration. It would be, kind of all of these things there. So if anyone is interested in learning more, like I really suggest taking one of their courses. Like even just the level 1 course, you learn so much.
Yeah, I dropped the link in the chat. So if anybody wants to go check them out, I'm kind of like, as you're talking, I'm like browsing their site just a little bit. Just a little bit. Because
we actually have planned later this year, or beginning of next year, we've got a new homebrewed world that we're doing our campaign in, and it has homebrewed mechanics to simulate mental health issues.
So things like anxiety, things like depression.
Yeah, I like that.
And like you tell the story of how it came about in the shortened 30-second version. Because Jerome has heard this story now 55,000 times.
Oh,
and doesn't want to hear it again.
Wait, hang on a second. Now, not only do you not let me get a word in edgewise, now you're talking for me. I kid.
Jerome, do you have something you would like to say?
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Do we need to have this is a safe space? We can chat.
This is a safe space.
We're gonna work on some
Shut and
pillars
pat
of
my-
conflict resolution right now.
There you go.
But one day, Hayley deals with depression and anxiety. It's a normal part of our life. And one day she woke up and it was a bad day. She woke up and it was a bad day. And you made the comment. What was the comment you made?
I said it's just like the roll of the dice. Whether it's going to be a good day or bad day, I never know.
And that brought to my mind. I was like, huh. And so we built this homebrewed world. It's called Valley Toss. It is based on the chaos and order. And while you have weather conditions in this world, you have chaos and order conditions. The day can be a high order day or a high chaos day. You as an individual could have been born on a high chaos day, and that affects your internal chaos and order alignment. And based on weather, based on magic types that you used, based on locations you're at, you can start moving farther down chaos or farther into order. And both of them have effects on your mental health, on the way that you think about things. And the interesting thing is both of them have benefits at the beginnings, and both of them are negatives at the extremes. The extreme of order, if you get, if you're in a high chaos area and you are, trying to take in that order, so a high order area, and you're trying to take that in, you get to a 5 in order, you become OCD. You have to, if you walk by a cart, you have to go organize it. You have to roll will saves in order to prevent yourself from going and organizing things. We start playing out mental health and autism, things there.
You are describing my life.
Yep. And then on the chaos side, if you've been in a high chaos area, or you're using type of, different classes, their types of magic will be, certain spells will be chaos magic. You do that a lot, you then will get farther down chaos, and then you'll find you can empathize easier. You understand the extremes of people's emotions, but you have a harder time making decisions. You have a harder time with intelligence-based checks because your brain is taken by your emotions. So we've built this whole system there, and then there will be spells, different clerics.
I would love to see this system.
Yeah,
I would love to see this.
We're hoping
and read it.
We're hoping to start the campaign with the homebrew worlds in January.
Yeah,
maybe.
We just got to finish out this current campaign and need to stop having our Friday nights taken.
I know.
And let us play. But yeah, so this, because we wanted the word Valley Toss is actually a Finnish word. The word is exposure. And the whole idea of the campaign is let's expose the truth of what it is to deal with mental health struggles. Because if you don't know, I never knew before we got married, before being married, and in this relationship where I see it with you on a daily basis, I never would have understood what it was like for someone who does struggle. Yeah, and so that is where this whole idea came from for us. And so it's interesting to talk about this with kids. I'm like, I want to go check this out and see if I can, what principles of this can I apply to adults in this therapy? Because I want to have on, individuals who deal with these issues as well.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I want to take one of your triggers that you feel safe about, and I'm going to turn it into a monster.
Yeah.
And then we're going to fight your trigger in this episode.
And we talked a lot about with having this with kids, but that's just because that's our focus.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
our world.
They 100%, like Game to Grow and other groups, focus on adults. Like, I know
this is for everybody. We just do this with kids because
I think one of the Adams, I forget which one, but they go to the VA. They go to the VA hospital and they play D&D with them and working with, PTSD and all their issues. So this is the great thing about role-playing games, that
it's helped me. It's helped me. This game that we do with our daughter. I was born with panic disorder and OCD. And then when I was a teenager, I had cancer. And after that, depression came out. So I have been battling mental illness since I was born.
Yeah.
And it's evolved over time. The panic disorder is now a generalized anxiety disorder. Depression, it's
always,
Yeah.
It's the monster.
I recently was hit horribly by depression over the summer. It is, and doing this with the family, this session, and the way that Justice is running it, it helps me too. It helps me able to cope with my anxiety and to get my thoughts in check. It helps me to, even with just as depression, even if I'm like in a horrible slump, it gets me up. Yeah. It helps me too. All of this that we're doing. It's the focus is still our daughter, but it helps me, and I think Justice can kind of relate to you. I don't think he understood quite the extent of my issues until like I had to go off medication when I wanted to have children.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole nother mess there. But him having to hold me down when I had panic attacks.
Yeah.
Things like that. That was, probably a new experience for him at the time. So, I think that this game that you guys are making that, not only will help the people who are suffering from whatever it is, but the other people in their lives learning and being able to empathize and have a better understanding of what they're going through. Well, I love that so much.
Yep.
Well, it's like you look at it, whether it's a spouse or the children, if you don't have someone in your life who struggles, you don't know. It's like it was interesting with our families, with our son, Michael, who is on the autism spectrum. He's definitely matured and been able to mentally handle things a lot better than he used to. Yeah, but he used to really lose it. Sensory, overload was a real thing. I remember the first time we took him to a convention, took him to FanX here. We get there in this big area and there's all these people.
And
he's in this little Ewok costume.
Yeah, we dressed him like an Ewok and he looks so cute.
But he's standing there. He loves everything he's seeing, but he walks over to the exit door and just kind of stands next to it, looking away.
Like he was so overwhelmed with everything that was there.
And it was interesting. Our families didn't get it. Like when we would say, okay, we need to leave now because he's overwhelmed. Well, what are you talking about? He's fine. We can see the triggers are coming. You don't know what's coming because we shield you from it.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting when you don't know, when you haven't lived it, you haven't been the parent, the spouse, or the person who deals with them themselves. You don't know, have any clue what it is. It's like I'm in a group for, dads with kids with autism, and there's a lot of them. They're nonverbal. There's a lot of things I'm like, I don't know. Like, I can read their stuff. I see it. I'm like, yeah, I look at the struggles I have. I'm like, I'm glad I don't deal with that. And if I didn't know, you don't know. I mean, I say the same words over and over again, but that is definitely true.
You're right, though. And one thing, like in our game and stuff, and with that, how y'all do, and a suggestion, just like with anything, is the idea of a check-in. And a checkout.
Yes, I wanted to bring this.
So when we play, to get into our character, we do like a checking question, and you answer it both as yourself and as your character. So like it could be as simple as, "What's your favorite color?" or "What food do you want to try?" And you start feeling your character, and that opens the game to now we're your characters. You've thought about what your characters would do. Now you're your characters.
Right. It brings you into the game so that okay, I am now this character. Right. And then once the game has started, one of the things that I love is the zip in, zip out. Things start getting hot and heavy. People start arguing. Okay, I'm going to zip out real quick. Are you guys in character right now? Or are we arguing? What's going on? Do we need to take a step back? Oh no, it's fine. We're acting as our characters. Okay, zip back in and resume. Just being able to have that reality break when things are going crazy. What?
We should do that with.
Someone should start doing that for our Saturday game, Justice.
But then
at the end of the session, you check out.
Oh
no, we lost her.
Which allows you to come back on character.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Miranda, I think we lost you for a second.
We lost you,
Are we there?
Miranda.
Go knock on the wall.
I'm here.
You're-
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, there
I
you
think- I
are.
think we
Am I
got
still
you now.
gone?
Yeah,
Okay,
we got
so
you now. You're here.
What she said was,
Am I
at
here?
the end. Yes.
So I've been hearing everybody on a delay, so if I keep interrupting, it's because I'm not hearing you until after you already started speaking.
I know, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Like, I don't know about
I'm
everyone
on a
else, but I
delay
figured
here
that out.
because I could hear him talking from the other room. Yeah, I'm here. I don't know. Go ahead with the checkout. It takes you back to your body, back into your body there, and I like the way that Justice does it.
So yeah,
Mhm.
it's when we do
I
checkout.
do it now. I'm in charge
Yeah.
of it.
It's 3 questions, and you don't answer as your character. You answer as yourself. Like now, you're completely out. You're completely back to you, and it's like, what is something that what is something that someone else
Spotlight on another
did
player.
that you enjoyed?
Mm-hmm.
So like they have to look at
Spotlight
like
on another player. It cannot
Yes.
be yourself.
So you look at someone else. Oh, I like how they figured this puzzle out. I like how they acted in this.
Mm-hmm.
I like, and you use player names because now you're out of the game.
Yeah, you're not a character at this moment.
Okay, I like that.
You're completely now disassociating, looking at the broader picture. What is a problem or challenge that happened for you
Challenge
this
or
time?
something learned.
Or something learned.
It's a challenge or something learned. So either something that you had trouble with in the session, and that could either be a game mechanic that you were having trouble with, your character didn't know what to do during role play, something like that, or something you learned, and that could be something you learned about the world, something you learned about your character, something you learned about yourself. So it's a challenge you had or something learned. And then the third one is your hope or prediction for the next session.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh,
And
cool.
the GMs like this because then this is what the players want. Can I make that happen? What can I?
Yeah, it
Because you
gives you fodder to use.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear what the players like. If you have this kid who, might be quiet, but he's like, I hope we get to do this. And now you're like, okay.
Okay, I guess that's what we're doing.
If he
Of
wants
course,
to
for like
do this,
6 weeks, our daughter was saying she wanted a Tundra Dungeon. That was her answer for like 6 weeks, was because she knew she was going to get to DM again soon. So for 6 weeks, it was like the Tundra Dungeon. We're like, we're gonna get there. We're still up by the volcano. Hold on.
It's like you will get your turn. Chill.
Tundra Dungeon!
but with those questions, like, it gets the players now out and thinking about that it's a game, that you just
Mhm.
played a game.
I really like that because I think some people have a tendency to take
The game.
the game too seriously, and they act like it is their lives in a lot of ways. And I see that a lot of times with people on stream, because when it's streamed games, because they want to be as good, quote unquote, as Critical Role. And they're all trained voice actors. They have been acting for years and years and years. It's very easy for them to slip into characters and slip out of them. It's a whole thing. But
A lot of them were theater majors, and
yeah, I mean, heck, all theater kids are just adjacent D&D players. They just don't know it yet.
100%.
But
Truth there.
there's so much truth there. I haven't met a single person who plays D&D that hasn't also or wanted to be in the theater world. Justice?
Definitely. My mom was a play director for
Exactly.
kids. Like,
I
You-
think
Oh,
I have
yeah.
a couple players
work.
that fit that bill.
he knows
that
every
haven't-
Broadway.
Yeah, I
Really,
think I have a
Drew?
couple players. I think I have a couple players that have never been or done plays really. But I did have a player when she first got introduced to RPGs, because she's super competitive when it comes to board games in general.
Oh.
That came into play until she realized that was like her thing to work through. So she would really beat herself up if she got a low roll or got frustrated at the game, sort of thing, because she felt like it's that disassociation of losing. You're not really losing, and you're not even really failing forward. You're
If
just
there's something happening, I can't hear it.
Oh, dear. Miranda can't hear.
maybe she can't hear me now.
I'm just causing all sorts of problems tonight.
So Miranda, can you hear us? Any of us?
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear
Okay,
me.
she probably can't hear me.
I can hear you. I can Justice say something. I can hear you.
Check.
Yeah.
Check. Okay, so it's just Jerome. Apparently, Jerome, she can't hear you.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm forgettable.
Oh no!
Again,
so many shades of not true.
I'm self-deprecating. I'm kidding. No, but no, I had a player that was like that, and it wasn't until she realized this wasn't a board game and it's not even failing forward. It's a joint adventure.
Well,
that it clicked.
We had our Hayley's mother. We had her mother and father come and play with us with Michael and the family and stuff like that. And it's interesting because her dad has played these before, and he played a big Warhammer guy, a lot of miniature. So he got the concepts. Mom never played any of it, and it was so hard for her to be like, wait. So I'm not trying to beat you. I was, of course, the GM. She's like, I'm trying to beat you. No. Well, you're trying to kill me. No. Then what are we doing here?
We don't play DM versus player. Like, we just don't do that.
She's like, well, then what are we doing? What is the point? And it was so hard for her. The other one that's hard a lot of times for new players is well, what do you want to do? You can do anything. Because it was so funny that the moment when your mom realized, so I can just do whatever. She's like, yeah, okay, I go outside of town and I want to find a sage. Okay. Roll me a d20. Let's see if you find someone. Nat 20. All right, I gotta come up with a new character on the fly, and some scenario that you've got. But suddenly she realized, like, oh, it's like I can do whatever. The freedom to just be.
Yeah.
No, that is a fun thing. I'm just surprised, Jerome, because I literally have never met anyone.
Yeah, the bulk of the people, like when I first started playing, theater was not a thing, and I've still run into some people that haven't done that.
But do they want to?
So with that, it's actually interesting because I think D&D players fall in one of two categories. Either you're that theater person, that role-playing, that like person, or you're the math, like, because the friends we play with, like one of our, he's an engineer,
min-maxers,
and he loves the like engineering aspect of it. He loves the math of it. We play a game where he DMs for us on Saturday, I DM but we play the game of when there's a monster, we both can think it's like that has an AC of this.
Yeah.
Like, because we both have the rules books and the monster manuals and everything kind of memorized. So we're like, it's this like you're gonna roll this and it's plus this. So like he's not a theater person in the slightest, but it's that engineering,
the building aspect. Yeah. I had a friend of mine who was like that with we were playing Robotech, and of course high tech sci-fi sort of thing, and we were always building like special ammunition or bombs or missiles or something. So and he would always put real world applications to it because he kind of understood some of that. So yeah, same thing. It's like that was his big thing. He liked building stuff and creating.
So, but that goes with like if you're looking at it at a therapy angle too, like, or an education angle, like you have those kids where it's this and then this. In the kid group that I started for social, like I did this kid group for social things. There was this one boy, and he was a genius at creativity, and like I talked to the mom afterwards and she's like, thank you. And I'm like, for what? He's like, he's socializing outside, but he came up with the craziest things. My favorite story with him is that he was this arcane trickster with a mage hand, and they were trying to figure out how to get into a mage tower. And he's like, well, I'm going to put on a fake mustache and go knock on the door and say I'm a building inspector.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And then he's like, oh, also, and he's like, my mage hand also has a fake mustache on.
Isn't the mage hand though like invisible?
Yeah.
So it's just a floating mustache?
Well, it looked like a hand. He made it appear to look like a hand and put a mustache on it. And then in the
I love
middle,
that so much.
Oh, it's
That's
just
awesome.
in this.
so he's pretending. So this wizard comes to the door and it was a tower keeper. And he's giving this whole spiel, and he's like, "I'm the building inspector." And then he leans over to his mom in character, and he's like, "I don't have a license." And so, like, that kid, like, we were working with math with him.
Amazing.
Like, we talked with the mom in, like, social and math skills, because he would always roll and, like, have to get out of. But theater, he is 100% a theater kid while sitting there.
That's so cool. And I wish that I hadn't like gotten over myself in school, because I had a group of friends that were the pretty stereotypical theater nerdy kids that were also playing D&D. And they had invited me to play a couple of times, but every time I was like, no, whatever. And so I just kind of, I don't know, I had a boyfriend at the time, and there was a lot of stuff going on in my life, and so I just kind of like always brushed it off. And then when I was in my late teens, in like the first year away from home in college, I was 18, and I had a group of friends that were playing Vampire the Masquerade, and this would have been 2005. What version was out at that point, Jerome?
2005 was already 3rd edition.
3rd edition, okay. But they were playing, and they asked me if I wanted to play, but I was nervous, and so I said no. And I'm like looking back at myself now, and I'm like, your 35-year-old Hayley is really angry that 18-year-old Hayley couldn't just get over being nervous. So frustrating, because I think about where I would be now if I hadn't been scared then. But it's okay, because like I'm where I am now, and it's awesome. But it's just like, God, I wish I wish it would have been fun.
I want to know, I went to an arts high school, which had music majors, which was B, and dance majors, and art majors, and theater majors. Where were the theater majors that were playing Dungeons & Dragons? Where were you? Because I didn't hear about any of that.
They keep that hush-hush.
They had to have been there.
They don't want to let anyone know about it.
You know that there was a secret one that like they all got together on like Saturday nights, but they didn't tell anybody.
Oh, but these are the drama kids, which means they really had it. So like they came in their cloaks.
Oh yeah,
and their
they
costumes,
dressed up.
with the flickering candleish lighting going, and it's like a freaking seance or a worship era of
We
Satan.
come to school in cosplay, and we went to like the nerdiest of nerd schools. Like we are all arts majors.
That's amazing.
Where were they?
I had an opportunity to go to a high school that was a theater school here in Utah called Tuacahn, and apparently my mom swears up and down that I said I didn't want to go. And I'm like, I do not think that I said I didn't want to go. I think you didn't want me to go.
She was already paying for one kid to go to dance schools.
Well, Janelle went to Tuacahn.
Yep.
So it was like, yeah, I wish that would have been so much fun. Jerome, are you into theater?
Sort of.
What does that
I
mean?
did. Well, because I did some. I did some as a kid, because I was in choir. Growing up. So from 4th to 9th grade, I was in choir, and during that time, the choir director also did stage productions.
Oh.
So we were kind of looped into that, a little bit with some plays and whatnot that he did. And then when I got out of school, I got, because of role play, I got looped into some theater stuff. There was we were playing late one night at a Denny's, and literally the way this Denny's was set up, it was kind of U-shaped. So we were on the far side away from everybody, and apparently there was another group on the other side. And a friend of mine who was very big into the community college theater scene had wandered off, and we were waiting on her at one point. So I said, I'll go see if I can find her. And I walked around the other side to Denny's, And I immediately get grabbed by a stranger and pulled into the booth. And I was like, this would make a perfect Mr. Foster. And I'm like, what, huh? And I am face to face with only one person out of 4 that I recognize. And they're like, oh, you're doing great. And I'm like, I'm a Mr. Foster, what? And there's like, and apparently it was a play that they were putting on, like a slice of life sort of thing. And so I got introduced to stage play afterwards at a local community playhouse.
That is fun.
So
yeah, I've not done much acting.
Weston has done no theater. You've done choir.
Did choir.
And then
No
I
theater.
did the ultimate version of theater.
Opera.
So, I just like to do everything really big.
So
Miranda's played for an opera.
mine were
I
musicals.
played
if
for
that
a couple
counts.
of operas. Yeah,
What? Wait, which ones?
in the pit.
Which
I
ones?
had to pick up. Oh God, which ones did we do?
La
I don't remember. It's
Travata.
been so- Yeah,
La Carlotta.
Traviata,
Yeah, that everybody does that one.
But some with pirates.
Pirates of
Penzance.
Penzance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pirate one.
I mean, that's
Well, I had
kind
the
of an
pickup
opera.
that's an operetta.
Yeah, that's.
I had the pickup burp during those operas in college.
Oh, great. No, I've been in a lot of.
Hear that story?
I've been in a ton of fairy tale operas.
lot of
A
Cinderella.
lot of Cinderellas, Hansel and Gretel, Gilbert and Sullivan stuff.
But I'm also that guy who wants to min-max. It's funny, I get pulled into so many games and streams that are always story based. I don't get to min-max ever.
It's because I'm the face of party of 2, and I'm into storytelling.
Yes. So I don't really get to min-max ever. But I'm a coder. So
Why
I'm,
not both?
Well, okay, yeah. So, with my
That's why
friend
we
who
work
plays
so
this
well.
Goblin Gobbles in our family game, he is a min-maxer to the extreme with every other character, and we told him, have fun. So this is his first character he's ever done that is completely not min-max.
And yet
playing
he
it-
can do over like 130 something damage in a hit if he does it right.
Well, yeah, because that is
Wow.
he can't get away with it. But he is like multi-class. He's one of almost every class at this
ooh,
point.
that's with our game Pathfinder Second Edition has.
Bard, rogue, cleric,
Ooh, he's
Paladin.
druid,
he's really doing some interesting stuff.
Oh my
there.
gosh.
Paladin.
We're dual classed in Pathfinder.
Yeah, in
Warlock.
Pathfinder has a mechanic that is dual classing, which in D&D they call it Gestalt. But it's actually like there's
Two full
rules for it.
classes.
You can actually build. They have sheets for it and stuff like that. And so I have 2 classes that I'm complete leveled in: sorcerer and cleric. And she's a champion, which is a paladin, and a fighter. And we level up in both classes every time we level up. So
I love my character so much. I'm actually going to be really sad when I
cool.
can't
Yes.
play her anymore.
but we have about 8 minutes left.
Oh, shoot.
Okay. Oh,
on
Dang.
the stream, and I want to just kind of get back to this
Okay.
the therapy and what can there's a lot of things. Jerome remembers this time. D&D and RPGs is Satan worship.
Yep.
This is horrible thing for kids.
DMDM Studios is rating us.
Yay!
They are
That was-
Happy rating.
that was the era of the satanic panic.
Yes, the satanic
Yeah.
panic.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
But now we see how much good this can do. And I just kind of want to go around the table and, from your experiences with kids, whether it's with adults, what is the real good? What is the huge benefit to people's lives outside of just being fun that playing TTRPGs can have?
Hold on. Just really quick. From any of the raiders, we are... Oh, thank you. We are now 1 person, 1 follower away from 400 followers.
One.
So thank you so much for following Rolling Thundaga. I like that. Rolling Thundaga.
Yep. Anyone else? And
But-
if you follow, you get a dragon.
You get a dragon if you follow, which is always really fun. What? Yes! We just hit 400 followers! I feel like I need to sing. No, I won't sing. I'll blow the mic out.
Yeah, you blow the mic out for me. I don't have this mic
I've
set up.
sung other times, but I just sing little things. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just really excited. We've been like on that brink for like 3 weeks.
So, Hayley, since we had just a bunch of people join and we're going to be rolling, kind of doing a little bit of a recap, do you want to just introduce our guests one more time for the new people who just jumped on?
Yes, we have the amazing World of Cord, Justice, and Miranda, who use therapy as a therapy, use TTRPGs as therapy, starting with their daughter, but they have really expanded and taken classes and lessons and being certified in therapy with TTRPGs. And like, I've learned so much from you guys already. And I'm like, okay, everything that you've said, I'm going to just do all of the things.
Well, and I know I'm going to be inviting, after this, I'll invite you both to the Discord channel for Valitas.
Yes.
So that way you can give feedback on the mechanics I'm building and all that stuff, because I want it to be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so what
Yeah,
were we doing?
totally. Awesome.
So we were going to go around the screen, and everyone just kind of, what is the one thing, you got to pick one, because we talked about how used to be that there was a real negative stigma around D&D and TTRPGs, but now we see how amazing they can be and how much they can help people, whether young or old. What is one thing that you've learned over your time playing about how TTRPGs can be good for people? So we're going to go around. Let's start at the bottom. We'll go to the bottom and end with Hayley. So we'll start with Justice.
You're just ending with me because I'm the one that talks the most.
That's true.
One thing that's my problem is also that.
That's why I had to mention that one.
Pick one.
In my view, the one thing that can be taken positively is that growth mindset of diving in and having it grow with you. You being able to take everything that you do in the game and it continue just to grow upon itself so that you are fulfilled in that way. Like, it's so great just to grow with all the different skills that you learn through it.
Cool.
All right, we're going to go over to Miranda now.
This is the order on the overlay.
All right, so before I say mine, just one, make sure session zeros. Must have session zeros. Always session zeros are important. 2, make sure these are not a replacement for actual therapy. If you need therapy, please actually go to therapy as well. This is a wonderful supplement, but it does not, it does not substitute for therapy. It can be used as.
Exactly.
But one of my favorite things that tabletop RPGs can be used for, especially, is with LGBTQA plus youth.
Mm-hmm.
They can create characters. I'm really big on this, that have the pronouns that they want to try out, or if they're trans, they can make that character and they can try that character out in a safe space. That's the big, these tabletop RPGs, they are always a safe space for whatever is going to happen, and they can try out these characters and they can see how they feel in that. Is that me? And they can change it until they find who they are, and then they can get that acceptance from the other characters, and they get acceptance from the group, and when they get that from real life, and it really has lasting effects on them as a and this could be good for adults too, but especially for youth who are having a hard time, where they're not being understood, or it's a safe outlet. It's a safe place for them to try this, to discover who they are, and to come out in a safe environment as themselves. It's one of the best things that these things can be used for, in my opinion.
Well, and I imagine that is why there's definitely a very strong community here within TTRPG. As it's a huge part of the community. Jerome, you're the next one on my little overlay here.
I figured everybody else is going to go more therapeutic with their answers, so I was going to go something a little bit more personal for me. One of the things that I like to do, as has been kind of brought up on other streams, but I also like to encourage other players, is it's given me an outlet. Like if I want to explore voices or the acting aspect or something, it's not the same as stepping up in front of a crowd of individuals like on stage, or even just the theater troupe itself as you're auditioning or whatever, having to go at it cold. It's something you can work up to or test and have a much smaller audience. Your group of like 4 or 5 people, however many you have in your players. And like for me, I can I can throw out a new voice or an accent or something, or I can try it and I can get immediate feedback, or attempt to try it. And we've had some other players in my group also try to do something similar. I'm like, no, you go right on ahead, you do it. No one's gonna, unless you want it, no one's gonna laugh at you for it. Like if that's comedy is your intent, go for it. Otherwise, no, it's just, this is a safe place. Let it rip. Go, do what it is that you want to do. So I guess, in a way that's kind of tied to what Miranda was saying. But I know for me personally, I've had people, especially earlier on, attempt to mock me when I was doing, an accent. Like it's common if you're trying to do Irish, you get that player that goes, "Oh, hey, you sound kind of Scottish." Hey, hey, hey. And it's like, really, come on, dude, just knock it off, or something along those lines. So it's a good place to learn how to roll with it and, hone your skill.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Taliesin Jaffe got kind of butchered for his Mollymuck accent.
Really? Did he?
Oh yeah.
He didn't even do it after the first couple of episodes.
I know, he was just like, I'm just kind of, and it was so funny because then when Matt Mercer came in acting as Lucian, Lucian, thank you. I'm like, names in me. Like Matt's Irish accent is so stellar that it was like super obvious that Taliesin couldn't do it. Oh, poor Taliesin. I love Taliesin.
For him for trying.
He tried it.
And that was like what, 40,000, 60,000 some odd people. So I mean,
well, at their opener, I think they had 150,000 people on between YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah,
nice.
They're ridiculous people.
Let's
just
leave it at that.
Say we love them. They are the TTRPG celebrities, but it's freaking ridiculous.
Yep.
I'm excited if we get 15 people on this show. Your turn, Weston. You're next in
I'm next in the overlay. My big one is I see a lot of times in life people are afraid of making decisions. They're afraid to make a decision and try something because they're afraid they're going to fail. And TTRPGs are great for that because you can fail and guess what? Your character died. Start a new one. It's like
so sad when your character dies.
It is, but that's the thing. Is like you can get over fear of making the wrong, quote unquote, wrong choice. We get so caught up in what we should do. It's like, well, what could you do? You can do anything here. You want to use your spell in a weird way that, hey, it fits, sweet, go ahead and do it. That using of imagination and just doing something because you want to do it. A lot of times in life we don't do that because we're so afraid of doing the wrong thing. And I think TTRPGs can definitely help open up that.
For sure. Since I apparently have the last word.
You do.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, no, it's not. It's gonna be fine. It's fine. I totally agree with Miranda. That when you are in a dark place with depression, just having the game to go to is such a big deal. I know I went through a period, and I think some of the guys are in the chat right now. Souls, I see you. Cassie. I went through this really horrible period for a couple of days right around Halloween of this last year, yeah. And it was like, I was so very not okay. And I hadn't had a depressive episode that intense in a very long time. And the family that I had found through TTRPGs really pulled me through that. And then the family that's sitting across the table from me helped as well with just being like, I am going to be here every Monday night and Friday night to play. So I would love it if you came. And that just knowing the stability of coming to the table. And it sounds really stupid. When I first started playing TTRPGs, I was just like, when people would say that, people would be like, the table is almost like this sacred place that you're like, you kill fake dragons. Like, what do you mean it's a sacred place? That makes no sense.
Or maybe you seduce them.
Or maybe you seduce said dragons if you are a bard. Or whatever. But it really has become that place for me where regardless of whether or not we have a show, regardless of what happens with Party of Two, we will play now for the rest of our lives. Because just coming to the table gives purpose. There you go.
Awesome.
I feel like that was a really good ending.
I think so too.
I think everyone should applaud the fact that I was really great.
Oh, you got a round of applause from Jerome. You got a round of applause from Jerome.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Weston, do you want to? We are at time. We are past time. We never end on time. Jeez.
Never.
Like, never. I don't think we have yet.
Well, the funny thing is
Six
when
episodes
I actually do try and push her to, if we're getting close, I'm like, hey, we need to end. She's like, well, stop. We're fine.
It's fine. We're fine. It's fine. We can go for another 20 minutes. No, we really can't. We need to respect your time and our viewers' time and whatever. But, does anyone have a final thought, a final word? I will drop the grow.
Let's drop the
Game to Grow, which is the organization that you guys
Game to Grow. Totally.
To do. There it is.
And you can find our guests again.
I think Justice and I could both sit and just talk
Yeah.
about therapy and table. We could talk for several hours at least on the benefits, how to do it, what it helps, all this kind of things. But the two big words that I want to say are safe space.
Mm-hmm.
These tables are the safe space to try out, to work on, to whatever. Safe space.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can check them out. You can see under Miranda's name at World of Cords D&D. Where you can check them out. They have the write-ups of their gaming sessions, so you can go and read those and see all the amazing things that they are doing. And Hayley is dropping some of those links there in the Discord.
I'm getting it.
Thing.
That's
Which,
not
speaking
Discord. Speaking of Discord,
Discords,
though.
you can all join our Discord. You can, I don't know if we have that link handy.
I'll go get it. Just a second.
Haley got it. But you can always come join our Discord. We talk there about our TTRPG news, which we do every Monday. Tabletop Terrain Talks, where we talk about tabletop gaming, terrain, and other nerdy things. Of course, here at the Family Gaming Experience, where we talk about how to play this game in a family environment and how to make this an impactful thing for your family. And bring on different family-friendly content creators. And then, of course, on our Fridays, we have the Scions, our two-person Pathfinder 2nd Edition duet game.
Thank you, Jerome, for dropping that Discord. And Jerome is not Party of Two, because obviously if he was with us, it would be a party of three.
Party
Jerome,
of Trace.
Who are you? Where can you find your stuff and what you do?
Well, if you are looking on the screen, there's also my link at twitch.tv @Lost Tribes Gaming. We do Vampire the Masquerade and Marvel Superheroes bi-weekly, which this week. And then I have two other games that I run privately as like quote unquote home games, which are both Dungeons and Dragons. But you guys are welcome to tune in. We much like this, we interact with our viewers quite a bit. Our games are much more story based. And mind's eye theater, so we don't utilize a whole lot of maps and tinkering and whatnot. And I let the players go at it. I've got a great. I can't speak more positively enough. I'm mincing my words there, but my players I think are great. I think they do a great job with the role play and staying in character and really deep diving on some of the issues I throw at them. So
it's
kudos to them.
absolutely fantastic. I try to grab your guys' stream whenever I can.
All right. So that is all we have time for tonight. Thank you to our guests for joining us. Thank you to our viewers for being here. Thank you, Jerome, for always dealing with our shenanigans as our co-host there.
We have fun with our shenanigans. And we hit 400 followers!
We did.
Yes. Shenaniganator.
So thank you all again. Be sure to check us out. We'll be back here. We will be dark on Friday this week. We have another commitment.
Yep.
But we'll be back on Monday.
Yes.
We'll be back on Monday here at Party of 2 RPG. Thank you so very much. And you have a great night.
Good night, fair traveler.
And let us see though real quick.
Are we
Should
gonna
we
raid
see?
somebody?
Yeah, let's see who we can raid. Let's see who can we spread the love to.
We're pirates of the high
Why don't we
seas.
throw it over to Valor Studios?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
they're
send it over to
going.
Valor.
Yes,
They're
give me
live
one
right
moment,
now.
they're on
and
right
we
now.
will join them. Give me 1 second.
They are good friends of the
Got
show.
all of the clicky clicks I have to do here.
I love that I can say that now. Friends of the show. You guys are now going to be friends of the show as well. Well, a family.
Definitely, I followed y'all.
You're like, I followed you. I'm now going to get your obnoxious notifications all the time. Because we're live a lot. Well, I feel like
That's
we're live
fine.
a lot. Well, you know. Because
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
we're just, yeah.
They are. Why am I not getting them on my?
Are you not finding them?
I'm not finding them on my ratingness.
Just look them
Oh.
up. I know, it's really easy for me to sit here when I'm not in the middle of doing anything and tell you just to look it up.
Yeah, they're actually on. I just
Yeah,
popped
they're
over
on
and
right
looked at
now. I can see them. They're live. Can you just do a quick search for them? They're probably in. Oh no, they're in tabletop. They're not in D&D right now.
Give me 1 second. You gotta love it when the tech decides not to work with you.
It's totally fine.
It's like that picture of the dog sitting at the chair. And the fire's all around him. This is fine.
It's all fine. It's like it's
There
fine.
we are.
It's totally fine.
Got them. All right, and
Oh,
let's
yeah.
go join them now.
Yep.
Join the raid. Join the raid. Join the raid.
Have so much fun this week, you guys. Remember that we love you, and yes. I'm
Here
so
we go.
awkward.
It's okay. We love you. And here we go.
Bye.